Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and recently I went to Spain to check out the Dolmen of Menga and the Dolmen of Viera. These sites predate so-called human civilization, and they are truly massive in size. Don't go anywhere. This is another place that makes us question the abilities of the ancients. Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and we are here at the Dolmen of Menga, close to the Dolmen of Viera. And these are some of the largest, most ancient megalithic sites known today in all of Europe. It is here in Spain, close to Malaga, and having been in Spain, we had to come to this site. This is an amazing site, historic. Due to strange laws in Spain regarding microphones and tripods, we were unable to record more than a few moments of our introduction at the site before being told to stop. However, we wandered around the site for about an hour, and what we saw was incredible. The site is located by Antequera, a name suitable for a truly antique site. The dolmens were said to have been built as a burial site for important leaders in society. The Dolmen of Menga contains stones as large as 200 tons or 400,000 pounds quarried from the nearby De La Cruz about 1 mile away. The Dolmen of Viera was said to have been built around the Copper Age between the years 3510 and 3020 BC, while the Dolmen of Menga is said to have been built between 3750 and 3650 BC. It's hard to know the exact dating, but I have seen nothing that contradicts the official evidence with this one, as it was pretty well preserved underground for quite some time. I just find these structures incredibly sophisticated for a site many would consider primitive. It's interesting, as sites that predate Stone Henge are always considered primitive and pre-civilization, because textbooks have been stuck on 3000 BC as the date of early human civilization for hundreds of years. When people debate such dating, the mainstream academics of society refute it when faced with an enormous amount of facts that prove there were ancient, sophisticated civilizations predating Stonehenge, going back as far as the last ice age, very likely previous to the Younger Dryas as well. You know, the Younger Dryas, that period of vast climate change that was scoffed at for decades until proven recently. It's also worth pointing out that Göbekli Tepe has completely changed people's view of ancient civilizations, as it's a massive megalithic site that both dwarfs and predates Stonehenge by around 7,000 years. Recently, as we've covered in recent videos, evidence has come out proving that ancient Greek islands like Deucalion, covered in 1,000 tons of marble shipped from 10 kilometers away, and places like the Pyramid of Hellenikon, predate ancient Greece by thousands of years. In fact, the Pyramid of Hellenikon, which we recently covered, has been dated by thermoluminescence to be older than any pyramid in Egypt, and Deucalion has been dated in some parts to go back as far as 4000 BC. Recent findings at the ancient city of Troy, once considered a myth spread by Homer, has found evidence that Troy was originally built as far back as 3500 BC. Shows how much we know, doesn't it? I mean, there's so much underground. But anyways, back to the dolmens. We drove across Spain and dealt with the craziness of the speedy Spanish drivers through the beautiful countryside to find the dolmens. They are easy to miss. Tickets were free, and we commenced up the path along the hill towards the dolmens. We came across a recently built sundial. It is appropriate, as the dolmens are perfectly aligned with the summer solstice. More evidence of ancient knowledge regarding astrology. We approach the Dolmen of Viera, the younger of the two structures. The entrance has, of course, been renovated to prolong structural integrity after being dug up. The site was found between 1903 and 1905 by brothers Antonio and Jose Viera from Antequera. The site was built in the orthostatic architectural process, being comprised of large stones standing upright. This would have been a task upon itself, never mind making it structurally stable. The corridor is comprised of 27 stones leading to a rectangular chamber. There is a cut in the stone at the end of the corridor which allows you to see the gravesite, but this was not original to the structure and was in fact caused by tomb raiders many years ago. Sad, but reality. This may be why no bodies were found at the site, only bone tools, silica, and ceramics. Though to be fair, some debate the notion of the dolmens being used as tombs. Some say they were sacrificial altars, others believe they were never meant as tombs at all, and the mystery continues. It has never definitively been said exactly what they were built for. The dolmen is covered in a tumulus, a soil mound. Like the cut in the stone at the end of the chamber, the site has been heavily vandalized. There is evidence that there were originally 16 slabs of stone on each side of the corridor, but only 14 remain on one side and 15 on the other. It is easy to consider the notion of the stones having been used as building material by later civilizations. 3 or 4 slabs of stone on the roof were likely taken as well. The roof stones are far more perfectly crafted than the stones that are standing. The roof stones were fitted perfectly. The technique that allowed the ancients to do this are not known. From Viera, we move along the path towards the Dolmen of Menga, which is by far the most impressive. The site is 90 feet long with massive stone walls, a massive stone ceiling, and large stone pillars. The structure is so old that every little hole and crevice is filled with spider nests. The stone is very flaky when touched near the entrance, but behind the entrance slabs are incredibly smooth stones. It is about 230 feet from the Dolmen of Viera and was found around the 19th century. The structure is considered quite legendary and was well known to people of the region at the time, being depicted in cave paintings. As you walk into the chamber, you're confronted by a shocking sight, a deep, smooth tunnel carved 30 meters into the ground. What some have called a well, as recent studies show water at the bottom. Archaeologists still do not quite understand what this hole is for or how it was created. Here we can see an absolutely astonishing tunnel dug deep into the surface. If you come over here, if you look down it, it's, I don't know, how many feet would you say that is? 50, 60 feet? It's pretty amazing. There are some sites that seem to allude in one way or another to the site having been the creation of archaeological digs, but it seems almost out of context. The claim is that there was a rock after the third column which was removed and that digging commenced in the area, but no bodies were found. That's the only thing the historical records from the 1840s say that can in any way be tied to the well, but recent archaeologists refer to it as part of the creation of the original structure. The lack of information on this phenomenal feat is frustrating to say the least. I've read over 100 articles and research papers and have come up rather empty. I'm left to believe that it was original to the structure, and the digging reference from the 1840s excavations refers to the area behind the backmost stone. Now imagine carving out stone and bedrock 30 meters down in a perfect circle around 4000 BC. It's mind-boggling. I want to add that some studies claim there were hundreds of bodies found at the site, which adds to the variation of background stories. It's honestly quite ridiculous the lack of consistency you find in the archaeological findings and studies. And you could see there are small tombs in the walls with lights fixed on them, and more over here, which you cannot see much with a light. It seems like they're situated throughout the place.
There were anthropomorphic engravings of stars and crosses in the dolmen that I could not see, but has been detailed in studies. The entrance passage at the Dolmen of Menga is 045 degrees northeast facing Peña de los Enamorados, or Lover's Leap, which, as one study notes, makes this one of the only dolmens in Europe which faces a natural landmark. Alongside perfectly facing the mountain, it also perfectly aligns with the summer solstice, allowing the chamber to be lit up during the solstice. So essentially, the sun shines directly above the mountain and into the chamber. What an incredibly sophisticated design and placement. Think of the effort that went into building this site with perfect alignment to both the mountain and the sun during the solstice. As another study by the Journal of Archaeological Science of the geoarchaeological and geometric composition of the dolmen notes, and I quote, "What is most important as well as novel, a clear and intentional asymmetry of the dolmen along its longitudinal axis. This asymmetry has a cultural background, evidence in other similar monuments, and may also be related to the orientation of Menga, traditionally set to a nearby geographical feature, but also oriented to a certain chamber lighting during the summer solstice," end quote. So here again, we see an example of ancients utilizing the solstice and astrology. Mainstream textbooks will tell you that this technique was rarely used until the past few thousand years, but more evidence shows solar and astrological alignment in structures dating back to the last ice age. This knowledge is phenomenal and allows many of the ancients to be mathematically precise in their construction methods as well. The pyramids of Egypt are aligned perfectly to Orion's belt. The Sphinx, which many consider to be as old as the last ice age as well, due to the water erosion around its enclosure, points perfectly due east and towards Leo. The pyramid in Greece that I just investigated has a passageway that aligns to Orion's belt, the home of Osiris in ancient Egypt. Göbekli Tepe matches up with both Orion's belt and the Cygni constellation. The list goes on and is endless. So not only is an incredibly heavy, large megalithic site formed in a time when people were alleged to not have been able to build large stone sites, but also it is aligned to the summer solstice perfectly, as well as to the distant mountain. It is truly a unique and incredible site.
Not only is it crazy that they were able to stack such massive, massive stones and pillars, but also that, as you can see inside of the Dolmen of Menga, the tunnel that goes underground is enormous. I mean, the idea that people were able to, at that time, dig so deeply and so smoothly into the ground, they obviously had to have a good reason to do so. I mean, it's obviously a massive task, especially in ancient times, so it's truly incredible.
I should also mention that there is a legend behind the name of Menga. According to Javier de Rojos, writing in 1879, legend has it that an ill-fated woman, the widow of a promiscuous nobleman, arrived in the town in the 16th century after the death of her husband. She was suffering from leprosy and took refuge in the dolmen, where she lived on the charity of travelers and locals, hence the name of the dolmen, Menga the leper, as one study calls it. As we were booted out of the place due to the site closing 4 hours earlier than their website claimed, we made our way out. I was frustrated that I couldn't film more and do more on-site narration. There was one other dolmen nearby that was built around 1800 BC called El Romero Dolmen, which contained a false dome as well as a hill that has not been excavated called Cerro Maramacho, which many believe to be yet another dolmen. I left restless, but I was excited to have entered such an incredibly historic site. It was definitely one of the oldest sites I'd visited personally. Heading back to the parking lot as the workers waited for me to leave, I noticed a familiar sight, a black cat. Every ancient site I visit, I see cats. It's a strange phenomenon that perhaps I will go into further in a later video.
Of course, you can't have an ancient megalithic site without a black cat guarding the way. Hey there.
I highly recommend people visit the dolmens as well as Malaga nearby. It's a beautiful area with an incredible historic background linked to the nearby Mediterranean. I will be visiting Göbekli Tepe in Turkey later this month and will be doing thorough documentation on it as well as other sites in Turkey, thanks to an awesome donor who is bringing me to the site. We could really use your help covering these ancient sites and uncovering the truths about ancient and lost ancient civilizations. So many sites need to be properly documented, including in places like Iraq, Iran, Lebanon, Jordan, etc. We really cannot do any of this without you, and your help truly makes all the difference in the world. I'm willing to go to sites that others are not willing to go to, so if we can raise the cash to reach these often remote places in countries that people are too often terrified of, we would truly appreciate it. You can help us bring the world free information with pledges and individual donations. You can check the comments and description for more details on how to do this. Thank you so much, everyone. We truly appreciate the support. With that said, we know a tiny fraction of the truth behind the history of human civilizations. Tiny. Humans have allegedly lived for nearly 300,000 years, yet we are supposed to believe that only since 3000 BC, with the exception of Göbekli Tepe, people have been able to build, farm, and civilize. This old guard belief system is falling apart at the seams, and we are learning more by the day about the true age and technological abilities of ancient civilizations around the world, connected perfectly via legend, cataclysm, and sophisticated abilities. Is humanity cyclical? Do we rise and fall repeatedly? Are the ancient gods just people from past technologically savvy civilizations passing down ancient information to less sophisticated people, deified over time as legendary gods? From Noah to Utnapishtim, from Quetzalcoatl to Osiris, from Vishnu to Zeus, I think we have a lot to learn still, and I'm excited to do whatever I can to bring you as much information on this lost understanding of human civilization as I can. Stay tuned for more, folks. This next month is going to be crazy, and don't forget to press to be notified, press like, and check back as YouTube goes out of their way to not show the vast majority of subscribers, or people in general, our content. It's frustrating, and we need your help to be seen rather than hidden. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, Wham? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated as we are so heavily demonetized and shadow banned to a crazy extent. We have lost about 80% of our reach since the beginning of this year as they rip away subscribers, etc. It has gotten out of control and it's becoming more and more difficult to stay alive here on World Alternative Media, bringing you guys free content every day. You can also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out on all these other alternatives like Subscribestar, where we are doing subscriber only content for people at the $4.99 US a month tier and up. We really appreciate it. You could tip us on there and pledge anything, but from $4.99 and up, we are giving people subscriber only content that you won't find here on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, there are so many alternatives for YouTube these days, including BitChute, which we are on at World Alternative Media, as well as, of course, the new flote.app, flote.app, where they are truly replacing all of these social medias, including Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, and of course, Twitch and Patreon, all in one place, and it is truly incredible what they are doing. We are moving over there en masse, as well as BitChute, BitTube, Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, all those other places, as well as PocketNet. We are on as well at World Alternative Media. There's so many options today, and we're trying to get into as many of them as possible because we need to back ourselves up. We are winning this information war, but we are getting to a point where they're cracking down more desperately than ever, and we gotta do whatever we can to stay alive as it's getting more and more difficult all the time. We also have events coming up, including Anarchadelphia 2019, which will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in September. Check out thestateofanarchy.com and anarchadelphia.com. Linked below, use promo code WHAM, W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to this amazing conference as Anarchy is going viral. Also, make sure to check out the Winnipeg Crypto Conference in October. Also, use promo code WHAM, another great event with amazing speakers, and of course, Anarchapulco, the one and only, in February 2020, which you can also use promo code WHAM for WAM and save 10%. There's so many things that you can do to help independent media, including just pressing like, sharing, clicking the notification button, doing whatever you can to help keep this free information alive that's alternative to the mainstream. Anyway, until next time, thanks for watching, everyone. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.